On December the 31st, 2022, thousands of believers of the UOC prayed for the last time in the Refectory Church of the Kiev-Pечерsk Lavra. The next day they were not allowed in. Now Serhiy Demenko disposes of the upper Lavra. The authorities promised to soon take away the entire monastery. But what will happen to the shrines? After all, people were brought by buses from the regions to those two services in the Assumption Cathedral, which Demenko held on Christmas and Epiphany. It is easy to guess that they will not be able to create the right picture all the time. The temples will be empty, which means they need to be filled with something. In Soviet times, the Museum of Atheism was located in the Refectory Temple after the expulsion of the church. Now is a different time and different solutions, in form, but not in content. On January the 22nd, we were shown what fate awaits the Lavra shrines. On this day, in the Refectory Church, a concert was held by the Cossack Choria band, where they sang about the murder of a Muscovite, the destruction of Moscow, and Christ blessing all this. In this regard, we are not talking about the fact that such songs should not be performed in Ukraine. During the invasion of the enemy, such emotions can be understood. But is it appropriate to perform this in temples? Is it possible to sing about murder of one's neighbor instead of praying to God, let even the enemy? Furthermore, the example of the concert in the Refectory Church is shocking, of course, but far from the only one. Patriotic feelings overwhelm some Ukrainians so much that they clearly outweigh their faith. For example, why perform Chervona Kalina in the temple as it is done in the Oku? Here is a fragment of the play featuring the devil in the spiritual center of the Uniates in Zarvanitsa. Musicians and actors give a performance right on the solia in front of the iconostasis. Moreover, the main character here is an evil spirit. It is clear that this is a variant of the folk den. But how can this be done in a place to be revered as holy by Christians? Truskavets. Here the Greek Catholics went even further. In the Intercession Church on the Solia, there was a real performance with Putin in the title role. Moreover, the temple here was turned into a full-fledged stage platform. Structures with professional lighting devices, light and laser guns were placed above the iconostasis. With their help, a real show was staged in the temple. Yes, Putin is an enemy for Ukrainians. They burn his portraits and stuffed animals at rallies. But the temple is not a rally, nor is it a disco. How is it possible to arrange political performances in front of icons and the throne, let alone a laser show with electronic music? Is this really normal for a Christian? Are clubs, concert halls, theaters not enough to meet such needs? And this is a real problem, which is much deeper than it seems. The national idea for many today takes the place of Christ and replaces Christ. It literally forces him out of the temples. Just look at what happened in January at the Peter and Paul Uniate Church in Lviv. We can see an outspokenly pagan action. True, though, this is not an authentic ancient rite, but stage scenography. However, that doesn't make a big difference. In the center of the circle, we can see people acting as priests, hierophants. They have lamps symbolizing the sacrificial fire. Around them are assistants, raising their hands in prayer to the gods. They seem to be singing carols, but in fact, it is an ancient ritual pagan song about the foundation of the world. And all this, we recall, is taking place in a Christian church, with the consent of the Greek Catholic leadership. And it's not as harmless as it might seem. The network has millions of views of this action, plus tens of thousands of enthusiastic comments where people write that Ukrainian roots are in paganism. This is our native faith, not Jewish fairy tales. Glory to the gods and our Ukrainian genus. We were originally pagans. That's enough for foreign churches. We must believe in our own innermost. And the roots will shake when Ukrainians remember their world. Now is the war, and we must be patriots. But we see that in some confessions, patriotism takes on such proportions that it becomes a pagan idol replacing God. This is a real, very serious danger for a Christian. After all, Christ clearly said, "Worship the Lord your God and serve Him only." Yes, one can love their land, people and traditions, but putting them in the place of God is unacceptable. And what we are witnessing now is a clear answer to those who are indignant about why the believers of the UOC do not want to join the OKU or even unite with the UGCC into one Ukrainian church for the sake of Ukraine. Simply because the worship of the nation eventually leads to paganism, and we can already see it in action now. However, it doesn't come our way. Ultimately, if patriotic Ukrainians follow the same path, destroy the Church of Christ, arrange dances, performances and pagan rites in their temples, our country may have a dismal future.